So there I was, wandering the haunted halls of a once great genre, blood on the walls, shadows in the corners, and in the middle of it all... Yep, this is where horror games are gone now. Welcome to the age of mascot horror, where fear is replaced by cheap jump scares and traumatized toddlers in animal suits. This isn't horror. It's a Chuck E. Cheese fever dream duct taped to a creepy pasta wiki. I'm sorry, this I just can't get into. It's so boring to me. And there's so many games.
Think of games like Poppy Playtime, Garden of Banban, or even the later Five Nights at Freddy's entries. They all follow a similar formula. You're trapped in an abandoned location, there's some creepy cartoonish mascot chasing you. The only story is told through vague lore dumps and cryptic notes that are out of your way. And of course, the whole thing is just set up for predictable jump scares. Jump scares aren't bad on their own. When they're the only thing a horror game has to offer, it stops being scary, and it becomes more of a repetitive task that I have to sit through every 5 minutes. Jump scares can work when used sparingly, but when a video game is just a series of loud noises and sudden flashes, it just immediately takes away every bit of tension we built up. Look at Five Nights at Freddy's. The original at the beginning was terrifying because it was unpredictable. It was really only scary for the first 2 nights figuring out the game. After that, it was like working an actual job with the amount of micromanaging tasks I had to do constantly. But then the later entry, Security Breach, turned the horror into an action game with bright neon lights and scripted scares. It lost all of its fear. Then there's Garden of Banban, a game that looks like it was designed after failed fast food mascots from the early 2000s, coupled with the most basic walk forward and get jump scared gameplay imaginable. It's horror without tension, just loud noises, cheap tricks, and instead of making me fear moving forward and tremble in my little rubber boots, I just get a "ah." Ever notice how these modern horror titles just feel like YouTuber bait? Because they are. Developers aren't making scary games, they're creating a game to get a reaction. That's why we get so many horror games built around cheap and exaggerated jump scares, deep lore, and mascot designs that are just They're obviously designing these mascots to be more of a face that people will recognize rather than something that will actually scare a player. It's why Poppy Playtime and Amanda the Adventurer exploded in popularity, not because they're truly terrifying, but because they're perfect for content. And that's not inherently bad, but when horror games are being designed around internet engagement rather than fear, we have a problem. I played Poppy Playtime right when it came out because of the hype for it, and while I did have a somewhat fun time playing it, I didn't enjoy it as a horror game. It just felt like a puzzle game with a slight hint of scary moments from jump scares. It seems like a lot of horror games today want to be scary, but they refuse to make the player feel weak. They're just too focused on like these main character power fantasies or having the game feel fun. Now let's look at Resident Evil 6, a game that really tried to be a horror game, but kinda just failed at it. Alright, now don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Resident Evil 6. The multiplayer was fun, it was a hilarious game to play with friends, but it wasn't a horror game. Compare that to Resident Evil 7, which actually went back to their horror roots and genuinely made me creeped out. Then there are games like Callisto Protocol, which wanted to be the next Dead Space, but forgot what made Dead Space terrifying. Isolation, resource management, and the fear of the unknown. Instead, Callisto Protocol just threw clunky melee combat and predictable monster encounters, killing the tension. When horror games refuse to make players feel helpless, they lose all of their fear factor. When I'm running away and hiding from something without any equipment, I'm immediately terrified and there's tension in the room. So what is a horror game? What makes a good horror game? Well, I have a couple examples here that I think truly attack a player and makes them feel scared. Silent Hill 2 is a great horror game. It doesn't just scream in your face, it finds ways to crawl under your skin. It's not scary because of jump scares, it's scary because the world feels just wrong. The fog, the eerie music, the unsettling enemy designs, everything works together to create a sense of deep psychological dread. The world in this game is constantly attacking your mind and makes you think twice about any movement. Alien Isolation is a work of art when it comes to horror mechanics because the xenomorph isn't just a mindless jump scare machine. It hunts you. It's unpredictable. You don't just hide. You have to think, plan, and hope that the AI doesn't outsmart you. It creates real tension, something modern horror games rarely achieve. If you want to survive, you're gonna need to fight for it. And now one of the best and most unsettling horror games I've ever played, Little Nightmares. This game doesn't scare you by throwing things at you to cover up your whole field of view. The horror comes from the grotesque, nightmarish world and the feeling of being small and helpless. This game taps into the childhood fears of being chased, being trapped, and facing creatures that no human eye should gaze upon. You never know what's lurking in the next room, and the eerie, disturbing atmosphere makes every moment feel unsettling. From the creaking sounds of the doors opening, to the ghastly wind blowing in the hollow emptiness of the ship, or even how the camera is constantly moving with the ship swaying, it is always making you look out for anything. You will never truly know what's happening, or what is coming. It gives you the space to allow your mind to wander, and to think what horror could be next. Now, I don't believe the horror genre is dead, but someone needs to give them a slap and a wake-up call. If developers want to make scary games that will actually stand out, they're going to need to stop relying on these cookie-cutter, boring templates and start focusing on what really matters. Atmosphere will always be better than jump scares. Fear isn't about the volume, it's about the tension. Make your games unpredictable. The best horror experiences make me feel unsafe at all times. If a horror title is to be good, it needs to attack my brain. My senses need to be flying off the charts. I need to feel like I'm simply stuck in a world the game puts me in and I cannot escape. Alright, before I move on, I have a couple more games that I actually really need to talk about. First up, PT, or as I like to call it, why am I still terrified of hallways? This game was literally just a teaser, a hallway. One hallway, but somehow it's scarier than like 90% of modern horror games. Every time you turn that corner, you swear something changed. And half of the time it actually has. And when Lisa shows up, oh yeah, you're done. Just turn it off, you're good. This game didn't need monsters chasing you or loud mascot jump scares. It weaponized silence, dread, and tiny details to slowly gaslight you into madness. Honestly, it's a crime that this is all the game is. Okay, so Doki Doki Literature Club. At first you're like, oh, cool. It's one of those lighthearted anime dating sims. I get to hang out with book club girls and write poetry. Wholesome vibes only. And for about an hour, that's exactly what it is. The game lets you relax, settle in, you're having a good time. And then it happens. Suddenly the music glitches, the characters say weird passive-aggressive stuff, the character stands a little too close, and you notice their eyes aren't right, and it only gets worse. The game straight up starts breaking itself. Characters get deleted from the menu mid-game, dialogue turns into corrupted nonsense, the background images distort, and at one point, Monica starts talking directly to you. No, not your character. You. She knows you're sitting there playing a game. She knows you're recording. The final act of the game is you, alone, with Monica, in a void. She just stares at you, forever. The only way out is to literally go into your game files and delete her character manually. A dating sim made to mess with system files? I mean, come on, that's genius. It's unsettling because it's personal. It breaks the rules of what you thought a game was, and by the time you realize it's happening, it's too late. No big jump scares, no mascots, just pure, calculated psychological horror wearing a cutesy disguise.
Can you hear me?
More of this. Horror devs, less neon teddy bears, more existential dread. Now this is a bit of a sleeper hit. Uncanny Valley looks like one of those cheap pixel art horror games you'd scroll past on Steam. But oh man, it is so much more messed up than it lets on. You play as a night security guard at this abandoned, half-destroyed research facility. Classic setup, right? Nothing new. Except there's a twist. The game is always watching you. And no, I don't mean like Monica staring through the screen kind of way. I mean like it remembers every little thing you do. Every door you check, every time you run away, every weird choice you make. It locks that in forever. And what's brutal about Uncanny Valley is that it doesn't give you the chance to fix it. There's no, oops, I'll reload my save moment here. You screw up something, that's your reality now. If you ignore something creepy, if you wander too far, if you get caught, the game keeps rolling and you have to live with those mistakes. And let me tell you, those mistakes get bad. You'll get weird, disjointed dreams, characters will start acting off, and eventually you'll stumble into some truly disturbing stuff. Like these robot-human hybrid things. It's that uncanny horror vibe that makes your skin crawl because it's wrong, and you can't explain why. But the coolest part, you'll have no idea how badly you've messed up until it's way too late. Endings shift based on your actions, people live or die because of you, and the scariest thing isn't the monsters, it's realizing that you were the reason things got so bad. It's subtle, atmospheric, and deeply uncomfortable in the way that no big budget jump scare machine can pull off. This is what I want more horror games to do. Make me sweat over my decisions, make me paranoid, make me stop and go, wait, should I actually open this door? Now, I don't want people to think I'm just attacking a bunch of indie developers out here, saying that these games aren't good. If games like Poppy Playtime, Garden of Banban, if those are your type of game, your type of horror, play them. They're there to be enjoyed. It's there to have fun with. But I don't think it's what we need in the horror genre. I believe the gripes that I have going forward with all of this is simply just with the mascot horror and how it's bleeding too much into the minds of everyone as just the new norm. It just kind of hurts me that they get so much exposure and there's a lot of really good, like terrifying horror games that are just shoved under the carpet only for like a rare few to actually find. Okay, but let's be real. If you believe that games like Bendy and the Ink Machine are scary, I'm sorry, man. Like, come on, really? That's... Yikes. Now, horror should make you feel something, not just react. Right now, a lot of horror games feel like they're chasing trends instead of fear. But if we push for more creativity, more atmosphere, and more just actual horror, we might finally get some terrifying games again. Ew. Now, here's a list of good horror games that are actually scary that everyone should try instead of playing mascot horror. Okay, bye!